Good evening, Virtual Village family. How are you all doing on this fantastic Thursday? I hope you all are doing well, that everybody is staying safe and healthy and dry. And I hope power has been restored for everybody. We've had is this our first storm of the season?
You mean as far as hurricane slash tropical storm?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's made it to our area. Of course, we've got deluged again today, so it's been an interesting week so far.
Oh, there's another one coming?
No, this isn't a tropical storm, but we've had flash floods and 3 inches of rain and flooding and all of that. So just in the last 4 hours or so.
Okay, well, it's just hot here where I am. It's just hot. But I am glad that everybody, well, I hope everybody has their power restored. I checked in with family and friends, and a lot of people who were without it started to come back yesterday. I know that's tough, with it being hot outside and all these different things, and how we rely on electricity for so much, but I'm glad nobody was hurt, and no major property damages out there. So that's a good thing. That's definitely a good thing. Now I keep feeling like it's been such a long time now. Every time we come up here on Thursdays, we were in the groove of doing this every day for so long, and then I get back up here. I'm like, I gotta freshen up the skills, but but definitely glad to be up here with you guys and to continue this literacy movement. We've been going for a long time. At one point, we were counting the weeks. It's no point. I can't count the weeks anymore. We're better off saying how many months it's been right now, right?
Yes, we're in the 6th month, I guess. Is that right?
Amazing.
March, April, May, June, July, August.
Amazing. Yeah. So we've been at it, and you all have been at it with us, and it's just been a beautiful, beautiful thing. And we, like Bad Boy, I thought I told you that we won't stop. We don't plan on stopping anytime soon. So what's been going on with you, Rodney?
Um, Man, lots of things. Just as we talked about, I think maybe last week. We got started back in March preparing for what would happen with some school shutdowns, and now we're in August and getting prepared for some school reopenings in various fashions. So that has been a lot on the forefront discussion. Families trying to figure out how to deal with child care and academic support for students coming up in the fall, and continuing to rally around issues from education to criminal justice reform to poverty and food and all the things that wealth creation that sometimes in the media seem to be episodic, but we know in our case it is about everyday life and living.
Definitely, definitely. So now, we have the school situation on top of all the other things, but it is time. It is time for the community, if we weren't doing it before, to activate community, to be the village, to energize, to exercise that creativity, the collective works and responsibility. It is time. I keep saying when Kwanzaa comes around, you ought to have a lot of good stories to report, the ways in which we utilize those principles. Because I'm telling y'all, if you only start doing it December the 26th through January the 1st, that's whack with the capital W. That's not what it's all about. It's about us coming together and talking about how we utilize those things throughout the year. And community is needed now more than ever. The cohesiveness. It's time to know your neighbor. If you didn't know your neighbor before, it's time to get to know your neighbor. Mend relationships, and I mean like familial, community, all of that. All hands on deck right now. All hands on deck.
By the way, speaking of what's been happening, didn't I see Clever Communities in Action receive recognition or from Black Brand, the Hampton Roads Black Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, yes. Shout
Yeah.
out to Black Brand. We appreciate them for that. I believe this is Support Black Business Month. And so they are including organizations in that. And we were recognized, and I definitely do appreciate that recognition as well as the work that Black Brand is doing for our Hampton Roads community. So, yes.
Yeah, well, nonprofits are businesses, so absolutely.
Yes, yes, we are. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't quite understand that, but yes, thank you for making that understood.
Well, congratulations on your well-deserved recognition.
Thank you, thank you. I appreciate that, and I hope that everybody tuned in will appreciate this.
Look, mommy, community in action. But oh my, let it sound of that. Look, daddy, there's a book for me too. But oh my, let it sound of that. Creative, affirming, and culture for me too. Look, granny, and let it sound of that. Look, granny, and let it sound of that. Look, granny, and let it sound of that. Learning, exploring my history, you see. Look, mommy, and let it sound of that. We confident, we practice, and develop fluency. Look, daddy, and let it sound of that. Families, they bind and they representing me. Look, granny, and let it sound of that. Look, I'm here, let it sound of that. Nice, I see, let it sound of that. So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom while we represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Readers to leaders, they hold it down where they have to sit. So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom while you represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Readers to leaders, they hold it down, yeah, they have to sit. Look, mommy, community in action. Well, oh my, let it sound of that. Look, daddy, there's a book for me too. Well, oh my, let it sound of that. Creative, affirming, culture for me too. Look, Brandy, let it sound of that.
Forever loving the sound of that.
Absolutely. And we heard a slow motion version of that last night, didn't we?
Slow it down. We got the chill mix. That's for the people who came over to the after party to celebrate our influencers last night. They got to see the mellow, smooth version that was actually done by Portia Bryant and her daughter Peyton. So the remix was by Portia and her son Braylon. So it was oh gosh, they're just always tear jerkers. Everything about them is just all on the heartstrings. So it was great. It was really wonderful. And speaking of that, let's briefly talk about last night and what occurred last night before, in front of everybody, and then behind the scenes. Um, if you have been tuning in to Clever Communities in Action since the school shutdown, then you are aware, obviously, of this program right here, our reading. But we also created a Virtual Village 2020 influencers, and we had 13 teenagers who were interns for Clever Communities in Action and pushing the mission of culturally affirming literature, the importance of reading, and the importance of reading books that reflect who we are in a positive light. And they also had their own show where they came up and showcased literacy, Black literature, but they also talked about topics that were relevant to the community and society at large from a Gen Z perspective. And boy, did they have a lot to say. So their internship has ended, and 3 of them are headed off to college, and the other 3 are headed to senior year and their junior years. And so we celebrated them. It was their last show, and then we had an after party after the show, and it was great. What did you think, Rodney?
No, I absolutely it was. We had a little Zoom party, and it was great to have the influencers and family members and mentors and many of the folks who have participated on our virtual Let's Get Clever read in, and so it was a very nice opportunity to just kind of fellowship. It's been a lot of hard work on behalf of the influencers in particular. We know they've had fun, but it was great to see them even relax a little more than at least I think I've seen them do as a group. And they really talked about their work and made some little clips. I forgot the TV show where they used to show the bloopers, but they had their own little clips of some of their back behind the scene work, as well as some of their work in front of the camera. So it was very nice, and for me, it was just great to see the parents and the adults who have been supporting them all along the way to be able to come together, and those that hadn't met each other to meet each other, and to take an opportunity for the influencers to salute them and for they to be able to salute the influencers.
Yes, yes, definitely. It was a wonderful time, and you worked those logistics very well last night. And again, yeah, it was they deserve to be celebrated. And we always have to celebrate our children. I mean, they deserved it, but I just want to remind everybody in the midst of everything that's going on, make sure you're celebrating Black children, because there are a lot of inequities, and we talk a lot and the youth even have brought up the adultification of Black children and a lot of the challenges that they deal with. So the village needs to be the place of solace. It needs to be the place of comfort. It's got to be the place of discipline sometimes, but all of that needs to be encapsulated with love and our children knowing. And that means, from the little one all the way up to the seniors in high school, that they are valuable. So it was great to celebrate them. And we also gave a shout out to our young readers as well. We definitely can't forget about our babies who have been showing up and reading and all of those great things. So yeah, it was great. It was great. We're definitely going to miss them. And I want to say this too, Rodney. So I was actually on the phone with Portia and been, moving, doing stuff all day. And then she mentioned this reading, and I was like, oh snap, I got to schedule, I got to send the email out for everybody and schedule the show. I'm like, the influencers are gone. It's not happening anymore. I got to get that back on my schedule. And then out goes the notification from Q.
That's right. I was like,
oh man. Oh, wow. Just so many wonderful things to say about them. And it's just great for the community, the entire village, to be able to sow into them that way. Such a blessing, such a blessing. I'm gonna grab these comments real quickly. We have from Sean. Hi, Sean. How are you doing? He says, congratulations on the recognition from Black Brand. Thank you. And Tanya says, congratulations. Thank you as well. Let's see. So we are going to move on to our reader for the night. We have a young reader coming here, and I know that you guys are here to get this culturally affirming literature. And we have the most wonderful people coming through to read. And tonight we have, again, one of our young ones. The first time she came on here, she actually read the book that she wrote herself. I think that was the night, it was the 10-year-old takeover.
Yes, I believe so.
Yes. That was the night when the 10-year-olds were like, 10-year-olds got something to say. And all we could do was listen and cheer them on. So we're going to bring up this little pumpkin here, little Miss Sahira. Hey, sweetie, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. So nice to see you. How's your summer been?
Good.
Good. You been writing any more stories or doing anything special?
No, not lately. Just been in the house.
Been in the house. Well, yeah, tell everybody, so people can know, if you don't know if they don't know, who is your sister?
Ayana.
Ayana, yes, one of our influencers. This is Ayana's little sister, Sahira. Ayana, are you near?
I am.
Hey, how you doing today?
Good.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Ayana, did you get a good night's rest?
I did. I actually did. I went to bed earlier than usual, and then I slept in until 11:30. So I'm not tired anymore.
He's working on you. We were talking about y'all's little behind the scenes things that we weren't aware of, but it was great. And Ayana, again, she put together like a blooper reel that was run during our after party celebration last night of all the things the influencers did behind the scenes. And it was really great. It was funny, and it just showed the cultivation over time of their relationship, with their rapport with one another, and the friendships that have developed from in the beginning when they didn't really know each other to now they are BFFs, more like family than anything. So we definitely appreciate that compilation. But you're already a like a documentarian, right?
Yes.
Yes, yes. I was also talking about how impressed I was when I interviewed them in the beginning and the progression I've seen. So I found out that Ayana submitted a documentary to C-SPAN, and it won an award. So yeah, talented bunch that we have here. Definitely. So what have you and Sahira been doing over the summer?
Well, she's actually started to do a slideshow because she wants to be a veterinarian of like different animals and different breeds. So she started that. How long ago?
2 days.
Oh, 2 days ago. So yeah, and then she's been binge watching Disney Plus. So
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, we love to see that slideshow when you get it done, okay? And Ayana, I need that blooper reel from you.
I know I have to clear storage, upload it, and then send it.
Okay. Okay. I just don't want you to forget, because that was great. That was great. All right. So, Sahira, what are you reading for us tonight, sweetie?
My brother Martin.
Let's see. Can you hold that up for us? Ah, okay. Well, this is going to be a treat. So are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we are going to back away from the scene and we're going to let you do your thing, okay?
Okay.
All right. We'll be cheering you on. All right.
My brother Martin. We were born in the same room. My brother Martin and I. I was an early baby born sooner than expected. Mother dear and daddy placed me in the chiffon drawer that stood in the corner of their upstairs bedroom. I got a crib a few days afterward. A year and a half later, Martin spent his first night in that hand-me-down crib in the very same room. The house where we were born belonged to Mother Dear's parents, our grandmothers, our grandparents, and Reverend and Miss A.D. Williams. We lived there with them, and our Aunt Idea, our grandmother's sister, and not long after my brother Martin, who we called ML, because he and Daddy had the same name. Our baby brother was born. His name was Alfred Daniel, but we called him AD after our grandfather. They called me Christine, and like 3 peas in one pod, we grew together. Our days and rooms were filled with adventures, stories, and tinker toys, with dolls and Monopoly and Chinese checkers. And although Daddy, who was an important minister, and Mother Dear, who was known far and wide as a musician, often had work that took them away from home, our grandmother was always there to take care of us. I remember days sitting at her feet as she and Aunt Ida filled us with grand memories of their childhood and read to us about all the wonderful places in the world. And of course, my brothers and I had each other. We three stuck together like the pages in a brand new book. And being normal young children, we were almost always up to something. Our best prank involved a fur piece that belonged to our grandmother. It looked almost alive with its tiny feet and little head and glimmering glass eyes. So every once in a while, in the waning light of evening, we'd tie that fur piece to a stick and hide, hiding behind the hedge in front of our house. We would dangle it in front of unsuspecting passers-by. Boy, you could hear the screams of fright all across the neighborhood. Then there was the time Mother Dear decided that her children should all learn to play piano. I didn't mind too much, but ML and AD preferred being outside to being stuck inside with our piano teacher, Mr. Man, who would rap your knuckles with a ruler just for playing the wrong notes. Well, one morning, ML and AD decided to loosen the legs on the piano bench so we wouldn't have to practice. We didn't tell Mr. Man, and when he said crash, down he went. But mostly we were good, obedient children, and ML did learn to play a few songs on the piano. He even went off to sing, which our mother a time or two. Given his love for singing and music, I'm sure he could have become a good musician as our mother had his life not called him down a different path. But that's just what his life did. My brothers and I grew up a long time ago, back in a time when certain places in our country had unfair laws, and that said it was right to keep black people separate because our skin was darker and our ancestors had been captured in far off Africa and brought to America as slaves. Atlanta, Georgia, the city in which we were growing up, had those laws. Because of those laws, my family rarely went to the picture shows or visited Grand Park with its famous cyclorama. In fact, to this very day, I don't recall ever seeing my father on a streetcar. Because of those laws and the indignity
Which one? Indignity.
indignity that went with them, Daddy preferred keeping ML, AD, and me close to home, where we'd be protected. We lived in a neighborhood in Atlanta that's now called Sweet Auburn. It was named for Auburn Avenue, the street that ran in front of our house. On our side of the street stood two-story frame houses, similar to the one we lived in. Across it crouched a line of one-story row house and a store owned by a white family. When we were young, all the children along Auburn Avenue played together, even the two boys whose parents owned the store. And since our house was the favorite gathering place, those boys played with us in our backyard, and ran with ML and AD to the firehouse on the corner where they watched the engines and the firemen. The thought of not playing with those kids because they were different, because they were white and we were black, never entered our minds. Well, well, one day ML and AD went to get their playmates from across the street, just as they had done 100 times before. But they came home alone. The boys had told my brothers that they couldn't play together anymore because AD and ML were Negroes. And that was it. Shortly afterward, the family sold the store and moved away. We never saw or heard from them again. Looking back, I realized that it was only a matter of time before the generations of cruelty and injustice that Daddy and Mother Dear and Mama and Aunt Ida had been shielding us from finally broke through. But back then it was crushing blow that seemed to come out of nowhere. Why do white people treat colored people so mean? Mo asked Mother Dear. Afterward, and with me and Mel and AD standing in front of her, trying our best to understand, Mother Dear gave the reason behind it all. Her words explained the streetcars our family avoided, the whites only sign that kept us off the elevator and at City Hall. Her words told why there were parks and museums that Black people could not visit, and why some restaurants refused to serve us, and why hotels wouldn't give us rooms, and why theaters would only allow us to watch their picture shows from the balcony. But her words also gave us hope. She answered simply, because they just don't understand that everyone is the same, but someday it will be better, said the words I remember to this day. He said, Mother Dear, one day I'm going to turn this world upside down. In the coming years, there would be other reminders of the cruel system called segregation that sought to keep Black people down. But it was Daddy who showed ML and AD and me how to speak out against hatred and bigotry, and stand up for what's right. Daddy was the minister at Ebenezer Baptist Church, and after losing our playmates with ML and AD, and I heard our father speak from his pulpit. His words held new meaning, and Daddy practiced what he preached. He always stood up for himself when confronted with hatred and bigotry. And each day he shared his encounters at the dinner table when a shoe salesman told Daddy and ML that he'd only serve them in the back of the store because they were Black. Daddy took him out somewhere else to buy new shoes. Another time, a police officer pulled Daddy over and called him boy. Daddy pointed to him out, sitting next to him in the car, and said, "This is a boy. I am a man, and until you call me one, I will not listen to you." These stories were as nourishing as the food that was set before us. Years would pass and many new lessons would be learned. They would be numerous speeches and marches and prizes. But my brother never forgot the example of our father or the promise he had made to our mother on the day his friends turned him away. And when he was much older, my brother and Mel dreamed a dream. That turned the world upside down. The end.
Excellent. Oh, I didn't want it to come to an end yet. You did such a wonderful job. Oh wow, we really enjoyed you, and you did a great job reading that, and you were taking those words down as well. Everything about this was great. How do you feel?
Great.
Awesome. Well, you made us feel great. And I really appreciate, although we couldn't see Ayana, we could hear her. But this moment between older sister and younger sister, where you are helping, you guys are reading together, or at least Ayana is assisting you in reading. Everything about that is great. And what the streets need is what we need. Okay. This is what we need to be seeing. This is what needs to be happening. Rodney, I know you
Well, can you hold the book cover up again? So what's the full book that you have? Because I see it's a thicker book. Oh, okay. It's part of your literature book, part of your book in school textbook.
Yes.
Okay, all right. That's what I thought, because I know that that story is 40 pages long, and but like you said, you were rolling with that, so that was very impressive.
Yes. What made you pick that selection to read?
Well, I thought it was a pretty amazing book, so I picked it.
Can you tell us what you think of the story? Do you have any thoughts or ideas about that, what they were talking about?
It was very good and powerful in how they treated slaves.
So, do you think you might write a book about your siblings and your family like that one day?
Maybe.
Maybe. It remind us, what was the book that you read for us that you won the award? What was that book about again?
The selfish dog.
Yeah, that's right. It's very good. So you got one because you're going to be a veterinarian, and then I'm going to look forward to see if you write one about your family. I'm going to see if Ayana can compete with that dog that you wrote about.
Let me ask you something, Sahir. If you were writing a story about your family, what type of character would you be, and what type of character would Ayana be? So the selfish dog, he had to learn a lesson. He was selfish at first, and people kept telling him things, and then finally he saw the error of his ways, and he changed. So would Ayana, would she be like the hero, the villain, the helper? Would she be silly? Would she be serious? And then what about you? And what about Zuri?
Well, I would be the hero.
Of course.
Yes.
Ayana would be the silly one.
And what about Zuri?
She would be the smart one.
Okay. And don't forget about your brother.
Too.
Oh no.
Wait,
I said, don't forget about her brother.
oh.
He would be the annoying one.
There you go. Of course. That's what brothers do. What else?
Well, we have all the characters there, so that would make for an interesting story. We'll be on the lookout for that one if you're interested. And we're gonna go up here and grab some comments. So we have Miss Portia. She says, outstanding, baby girl, excellent reading. I love your book. And we have Mr. Ray who says, young veterinarian, awesome, from when you were telling us about her slideshow. And then he says, great job, a very confident and excellent young reader. And then we just wanted to remind you that you are doing a great job. We really, really enjoyed it. So did you sisters have anything that you wanted to say to us?
No, but I just wanted to let you know that when you said you were rushing to do the StreamYard and sending out the live on Facebook, we were actually in the group chat talking about that with Q. He said, oh my God, I forgot. He said, I need to go do it right now. And I'm cooking noodles on the stove. And he said, well, let me go ahead and multitask. And so, yeah, so he was dedicated to sending that out today.
I definitely appreciate that. Again, you all have gone above and beyond. There's a dedication that you have to your job and to your community. You know, you guys could have done the least, but you chose to do the most. And I feel that the community invested in you, and you've been given a great return on investment. You all are showing us that you value your community and your word and your work ethic. So if Q is watching, definitely giving a shout out to him for that. But I did, I text him with the little tear emoji, because I was like, y'all are just everything. You all really are. You're such a blessing. And we just, look forward to seeing what all you guys are gonna do as time moves forward. I was talking to someone, and we were discussing you. They're like, oh, she's going to be a powerful attorney.
Ayana, that reminds me. So we were reminded last night about your NAACP AXO event coming up. Can you tell us again about that and when the date is?
Sure. So, okay. Next week it's an all week-long event. So it starts on Wednesday and it ends Saturday. So they have different competitions, and they're not going on at the same time. So they have different times for each competition. So for mine is Wednesday at 11 for poetry performance, and then Friday at 11:30 for poetry written. And so what they're doing is they're sending out a link to those who want to sign up for viewing, so we don't have anyone interrupting like we did on Zoom last time. So you sign up for which categories you want to view. They'll send you a separate link to your email for you to view the competition. And then you can also sign up to view the award ceremony, which is Saturday at 3:00.
So is that something you can share and we can put out on the Clever Communities in Action Facebook page, at least to observe?
Yes, so I'll send you the link. I'll text both of you guys the link so you guys can do what you will.
Yeah. Well, congratulations again, you and Jamir and any others that may be participating. So looking forward to that.
Yes. If you all do not remember, one day Ayana was like, "Oh, I wrote a poem." We're like, "Oh, definitely share it on the talent section." And if this young sister did not, there was no dry eye on the internet at that point. All of the emotion, the way we all felt that. The way that you conveyed that was beautiful. And you've gone on to win awards for doing such. So, you're multi-talented, as all of you are. And we look forward to getting those links so we can put it out and everybody can support. But yeah, she was like, "Oh, I wrote a poem."
Thank you.
I told you I'm waiting for these children to tell us that they got back from Mars or something, because they we just came back from Jupiter. You know, we were in a group chat on our way to Saturn, but they act like it's no big deal, like they aren't out here doing all these phenomenal things. But just keep up the great work. And Sahira, we are so proud of you as well. It is always a pleasure for you to come on here and read with us, and we want you to keep coming back. And Ayana, you come back on here and read or do some original works as well.
Yes, I will.
Okay. All right. Where did Sahira leave?
She did.
Yeah.
That's what the little ones do.
Yeah.
I signed up.
That's right.
Book. I did it, and I'm out.
That's right. On to bigger and better things on TV.
They're like, I fulfilled my
Got more important programming to attend to.
We know how they do. And that's fine. We appreciate the time that they give us. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having your sister on and for assisting her. Look at you.
He has me weak all the time. I'm telling you.
Oh, man. Yes. Well, we appreciate it. You guys did a great job, and we look forward to having you back, okay?
All righty. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good night. Yes, that was excellent. Sahira did a great job, and then the two of them together was really, really good.
Well, I appreciate, you talked about the 10-year-old takeover. What I appreciate about all of these young readers, elementary school age readers that have been a part of this effort, we talk a lot about pushing the envelope and raising the bar. They take on literature and books that are above and beyond what the book says their grade level is.
Right. I was definitely
so that, just watching that and observing that and the confidence that they have to take on their challenge and come up here and to be bold in their reading, it just warms your heart. And it, as you said earlier, that's what this is all about. And what I appreciate about it, I really love it when the young readers come up, because I think they have their own little challenge game going on. So, Chancellor will come up here and read something, and then the historian kid is going to take it to another level. And then, Zuri may come up and read something, and then another young person will come and do something. Then Shania has something, and Peyton has something. So it is good watching these beautiful, strong young children of color really setting the bar for excellence, not only for each other, but for the world to see. And I think that's what this platform and in the work that you do with CCIA, why I think is so critical and so necessary. And I'm just appreciative to be able to be supportive of the effort.
Thank you. We definitely appreciate you. And yes, you are so right. And she was taking down those words. I'm like, yeah, that's above her grade level. Yeah. That is above her grade level. But she was handling that, and Big Sister was assisting her, and she was bold, like you said, not shying away from that. I enjoyed that with my niece, with Haley. These are the things that don't get the light, the shine all the time. But it is wonderful to see, and I hope that it is inspiring our viewers at home to join in, or if you're already doing the readings, then add in culturally affirming literature to it. And if it's something that has been overlooked, then just a nice reminder to get on those books, get on those stories, because the benefits of reading and a strong foundation in reading are limitless when it comes to the academic success and overall success of our children. Reading is important for the sake of reading and all that comes along with that. But when you have a strong foundation in reading, it helps you in all other subjects, and it helps your confidence just as a person and as a child, period. So the advantages of that are strong. And then putting the imagery and the stories in front of our children that teach them about who they are, or that just affirm who they are, because also it's important. The historic books are definitely important, but sometimes if it's something whimsical, but the character is a little girl or a little boy who looks like them, those things are just as important as well. If it's a dragon, You know, if it's Apprentice, if it's a science fiction book, but the character looks like me, the character looks like my sister, or that looks like my mom, my dad, my grandmother. There's power in that representation. So definitely. I want to make an announcement. Speaking of the 10-year-old takeovers and Shania, she told us last night that she has a major role, a lead role. There is a fly zooming around in here because I had these bright lights on, and it is like, hey, Star, it keeps coming over here. But she is in a play called Junie B. Jones, the musical, and she has a major role in it. And if you guys, I'm sure if you've been tuning in, you know who Shania is. Every time I say that name, I have to sit up straight and get my posture correct. No slouching when Shania is mentioned. And the tickets go on sale on Monday. Okay. And if you are interested in going to support, it'll be outdoors, socially distant. They have all the protocol intact for that. And the performances are, let's see, Thursday, Friday. It's August the 27th through September the 6th. So that is a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday starting August the 27th. And then the following weekend, the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Tickets are $15, and you can go to hurrahplayers.com, and we'll post that. We'll definitely put a post up about that. But let's support our baby girl. Let's make sure that we show up as a virtual village family, and if we're able to, that she can see her family out there. And yeah. So we definitely want to do that.
Yeah, when she mentioned that last night, I was saying to myself I was going to share that with my daughters because I can remember they used to read those Junie B. Jones books
Oh, okay.
when they were
Yeah,
younger. So yeah,
love that.
yeah.
Excellent. Well, we are so proud of her. I was telling you all that when I was in Alabama with my niece has begun to do monologues. And my aunt was looking up monologues with little black girls. And I'm in the other room doing some work. And I hear, it may have said at that point, like 7-year-old or 8-year-old Shania Reddy. And I hear my aunt say this. And I was like, Shania Reddy, what? And then I started hearing her talking, and I ran out the room, and it was definitely Shania. And I thought it was really great that my aunt was specifically looking for representation, trying to find a little girl who my niece could relate to, and it just happened to be our Shania, and that was really really great. So keep pursuing those dreams, parents, keep investing in them, and it's just a wonderful thing that we have going on here. So proud of these young people and these family units and the unit that we have created.
Absolutely.
So let's see. We have 10 minutes left. You got anything from literature that you got, or you want to talk
Yeah, no, because I actually like to, for the last few weeks, I've been holding on to this book. Anticipating an opportunity to read something, and we've been so fortunate to have Miss Regina and so many others to come up and read that I hadn't had a chance to share from this book. But last night, as you were interviewing the influencers, and I'm still trying to adjust being in elder status. So I think someone had asked them the question about how had the previous generation served them or not served them well, and they started talking about Generation X, and I had to look that up. I said, I think I'm in Generation X. Well, right on the cusp of it. So one of the things that kind of hit me, and I just wanted to share something about Phyllis Wheatley, largely because as the influencers talked about last night, and they being 17, 15, 18, 19, and the conversation they were having about one generation to another, as I was looking through this book, Phyllis Wheatley is estimated to have lived 31 years. And so when we talk about the impact and when we talk about youth, for some 60 years old as youth. When we talked about John Lewis recently passing, and he was speaking at the March on Washington at 23 years old. You got the influencers doing their thing, and I just thought it might be nice in the few minutes that we have left to just share a little bit about Phyllis Wheatley for those that may not know her story.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm out. You do your thing.
All right. So again, this is from the book 50 Black Women Who Changed America, fully illustrated with portraits by Amy Alexander. And I'm going to share the section on Phyllis Wheatley. And it says that she lived around from 1953 to 1784. And the subcaption is From African Slave to American Literary Pioneer. So what would be more appropriate than recognizing a literary pioneer as part of the great literacy gang that we have out there with Clever Communities in Action? So it reads, although her life was tragically short, Phyllis Wheatley left an inevitable mark on American culture. Her contribution to our literary history is unquestioned. As a child of 7, she was kidnapped in Senegal in West Africa and shipped across the Atlantic Ocean to slavery in the New World. From that inauspicious beginning, Phyllis emerged less than 20 years later as a poet of incredible grace and insight. By the time of her death in her early 30s, she would hold the distinction of being the first published African-American poet. Read today, her works astound by their poignant expression of religious faith and her belief in the goodness of mankind. Writing in heroic couplets, Wheatley transformed her newfound Christian religious beliefs into soaring poems of redemption and salvation. More than 200 years after her death, she remains an inspiration to millions of American writers, and especially to the long line of Black women who sought to live up to her literary legacy. In 1773, a wealthy supporter agreed to print a collection of Phyllis's poems. Though she was barely 20 years old, the former slave girl had exhibited a sharp intelligence and a deep understanding of the Bible. All the same, she had to overcome firmly entrenched white perceptions of Blacks as, quote, savages, and suffered the stinging rebuke of many whites who refused to believe that Phyllis could possibly have written such polished, heartfelt verse. Indeed, Phyllis was subjected to a humiliating grilling by white Bostonians who set up a council to determine whether she had been merely mimicking the speech and writing lessons of her white masters. Phyllis passed their oral examination with flying colors and subsequently created a sensation when her first collection of poems on various subjects, religious and moral, was printed in Britain. The collection contained a testament to the authenticity of Phyllis's work, prepared and signed by the Boston group who had interviewed the young poet. It says, "We whose names are underwritten do assure the world that the poems specified in the following page were, as we verily believe, written by Phyllis, a young Negro girl who was but a few years since brought an uncultivated barbarian from Africa and has ever since been and now is under the disadvantage of serving as a slave in a family in this town. She has been examined by some of the best judges and is thought qualified to write them." For several years after publication of her poems, Phyllis was a literary celebrity. She visited groups in London and around New England, where she gave readings of her work. On one appearance at Harvard University, she stunned the assembled students by reading for them a lengthy poem she had written especially for the occasion. And by 1780, Phyllis had become one of the best-known writers in colonial America. Fluent in English, Greek, and Latin, Phyllis would astound the burgeoning artistic community with her clear, concise readings of her poems, as well as the works of classic poets like Milton and Pope. Nevertheless, her fortunes continued to depend on the circumstances of her white owners. And while Phyllis had been lucky to belong to an American family that was kind to her, she held little control over her own fate. When she died penniless and virtually alone, barely a decade after her first literary success, few Americans gave Phyllis Wheatley credit for enlightening the world with her beautiful poetry. Several volumes of her unpublished poems are thought to have survived her, but no one has been able to find the lost work. All the same, Phyllis's published work is a vital part of this nation's literary canon. Her legacy can now be found in textbooks and literary compilations everywhere. And for Black women writers who have followed her, including Audre Lorde, Nikki Giovanni, and June Jordan, Wheatley provides a spiritual touchstone. Believed to have been born in Senegal in the 1750s, the girl who would become Phyllis Wheatley endured the long, torturous Middle Passage between Africa and the New World aboard a slave ship. Few reliable records exist which might shed light on exactly when and where Phyllis landed on colonial shores, although one estimate dates it at 1761, and no one seems to know what became of her parents. The first written record of Phyllis shows that she was bought by a wealthy Boston family in that year. For John and Susanna Wheatley, the little African girl they encountered at auction seemed to draw them to her with some inexplicable energy. The couple purchased her and brought her into their prosperous household. There, the girl was named Phyllis and given the family name of Wheatley. Over the next few years, young Phyllis worked for the couple doing household chores. John Wheatley was a successful merchant in the booming young town. For her part, Susanna Wheatley grew attached to young Phyllis. Indeed, her husband had purchased Phyllis for Susanna. She taught the frail girl to sew and knit and was delighted to see her blossom. The Wheatleys encouraged her to learn the strange new language, and soon Phyllis spoke English in halting phrases. Encouraged by her quick intelligence, the Wheatleys decided on an extraordinary step. At the time, few whites believed that Africans were even human beings. Many whites believed that blacks were soulless creatures more akin to animals. Yet, as the Wheatleys grew accustomed to Phyllis's unique development, they realized that she was indeed human and imbued with a special spirit. So, despite the conventions of the day, the Wheatleys endeavored to teach Phyllis to read and write. At first, the young slave girl struggled with the alphabet. Once she grasped the rudiments of the English language, she began to read well. Further, she seemed to be intrigued by the imagery and dramatic parables found in the Bible. By the time she reached adolescence, she was not only reading expertly, but also beginning to write. So there are more pages associated with this literary episode about Phyllis Wheatley. And I know we are at the top of the hour, so I'm going to save the rest of it for another time. But I will say that as it concludes, it just says that Phyllis Wheatley continues today to embody the artistic contribution of Black American women. This nation has been enlightened, improved, and shaped by the poetry and insight of Phyllis Wheatley and other Black women writers who followed her. Phyllis Wheatley left a legacy that will survive through the ages. Her words and ideas cast a shimmering light that endures. So maybe next week or the next opportunity, I'll read the rest of this chapter on Phyllis Wheatley. But I just thought it was most appropriate as we are now here in August, and as we're continuing to highlight the great work of Clever Communities in Action, founded by another great woman, Ms. Star Armstrong. It just seemed very appropriate for us to highlight a little bit of Phyllis Wheatley and the great contribution that she has made to our legacy, our history, and our sojourn here in these Americas.
No doubt, that was great, and thank you. And I'm always appreciative of how you highlight and just build up Black women. That's definitely commendable. We don't always get that as we should, but I think it's wonderful that you always make sure that you put Black women to the forefront, because a lot of times in the movement, you don't hear about the sisters, the women who did phenomenal things and wasn't even always behind the scenes, to be like, well, behind the scenes. No, it was a lot of women doing things in front of the scenes, but it just, the stories don't get talked about. So I appreciate you being a champion of the contributions of Black women towards our evolution, our liberation, everything that has gone on within our community. So definitely that is great. Thank you for that reading. I think it was a great way to close things out. And let me see, we had Miss Alfreda who jumped up here. She said, this is real. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping into the Virtual Village family. And we have Sharice who says she needs a copy of that. Yes, yes. So showing you that title there. Hope you are doing well, and thank you. She's wishing us she's been wishing people a happy Black Philanthropy Month.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for leading the charge on that, you and Vivian, and helping to educate the world about what Black people are doing when it comes to philanthropy and the efforts that you all are making, and also all of the things that you are doing for our children in the Norfolk PTA. Yes, so some great sisters.
Yeah, and and maybe we'll get an opportunity before this month is out to bring on one of our young Black philanthropists and have her talk about some of the work that she's doing.
That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
That would be excellent. So it's been a wonderful show. Great having Sahira and Ayana up here and talking to them and reminiscing about our influencers. And you guys don't forget to look out for the information on what Ayana has coming up with AXO, and Ayana and Jameer, as well as what Shania has coming up. Let's make sure that we support our children, that they know that their community has their back. Okay. And did I leave something out? Were those two? Okay.
No, that was good. I was just going to say one other thing, that for those parents out there that have young children, like Sahira, like Ayana, like Peyton, if you want to start getting back into the flow of things, as we know that school is going to be reopening, and getting your children accustomed to reading in a virtual space, join us next Thursday. Go ahead and sign up and come on up here and read with us, and get your children in that habit. Get your children in being accustomed to reading virtually, because it looks like it's going to be something that many of our children are going to be doing, at least for the next several weeks as school is reopened. So come on and be in a friendly atmosphere where the family and the literacy gang will provide some support and encouragement for you. Sign up and join us next Thursday as we come up here and continue to do our virtual read-in.
Great point there, Rodney. As it's important for our families to join and be a part of this. We encourage that, but as you say, it's kind of like being able to dip your toes into the water first before they just go right into that. And this is a supportive environment. As you're teaching somebody how to swim, it's better to be able to start them off in the shallow end than to just drop them into the deep end of the water. So this is a very supportive place here, a very supportive place. So yeah, y'all come on and sign up, and at the very least tune in. But the sign up sheet is always on the Clever Communities in Action Facebook page. It's pinned at the top. So just make sure that you go on over there to the page. If you have not liked Clever Communities in Action yet on Facebook, make sure that you like us, and that you subscribe to Clever Communities in Action on YouTube. But the sign up sheet is pinned right at the top. And once you sign up, You can read through the instructions there, and on the day that you sign up to read, you will receive an email giving you instructions on how to join us. It's a nice little machine that we have going on here, and it fits perfectly for you all to slide right in there. So thanks for that reminder, Rodney. And on that note, you all, we have definitely appreciated convening with you guys around literacy, love, and culture. Make sure that you guys keep reading and that you continue to affirm Black history and culture. Y'all have a great evening. Peace.
Look, mommy, community in action. But oh my, let us down to that. Look, daddy, there's a book for me too. But oh my, let us down to that. Creative, affirming, and culture for me too. Look, granny, and let us down to that. Look, granny, and let us down to that. Look, granny, and let us down to that. Learning, exploring about history, you see. Look, mommy, and let us down to that. We confident, we practice and develop fluency. Look, daddy, and let us down to that. Families, they bond and they representing me. Look, granny, and let us down to that. Look, I'm here, let us down to that. Nice, I see, let us down to that.
So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom while we represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Readers and leaders, they hold it down where they have to sit. So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom while you represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Readers and leaders, they hold it down, yeah, they have to sit.
Look, mommy, community in action. Well, oh my, let us down to that. Look, daddy, there's a book for